Hey yo, what's up everyone? How are you doing? It's Kharyshkyr here yet again with another video. First of all, I want to wish you all happy Easter if you're celebrating it. I hope you had a good and relaxing holiday and a good time. And also I hope you didn't drink too much because drinking doesn't help with AoE. It might help with confidence and taking fights, but probably it doesn't help with idle villagers. So this time I want to do something a little bit more different because unfortunately I haven't recorded many of my games as of recently. Although I have to share a little success with you. I have reached Conqueror 2 in this season, which is something something really good for my circumstances, I have to say. So I'm really happy with this. And I was also a little bit surprised on how I got here to 1530, which is pretty new for me. And probably you might have seen how my progression looked like in the past, in the previous seasons. So only the last 3 seasons have been Conqueror. The 2 seasons prior to that, Diamond, and previously I've been Platinum. But I have been playing with Mongols cavalry since season 1. And I have told you that my strategy has stayed kind of the same. I have just adapted it and made it a little bit better with lots of embellishments and hidden ideas and tricks. But I think reaching Conqueror 2 is also due to my practice routine. Because when I'm not playing ranked, I usually play single player against the AI. And this is what I want to do today. I want to talk about how you can use the skirmish matches, the single player skirmish matches against the AI. As far as you know, we have from easy to absurd. So hardest is the AI doesn't get any bonuses as far as I can see, but ridiculous, outrageous, and absurd they get improved gather rates. So what we're looking for is the last 2 difficulties, outrageous and absurd. So these are like the best difficulties to create some scenarios that you can then use to improve your gameplay. So this is what I have been doing. And I also have 2 scenarios in which we're going to jump right now so that I can show you what I mean by that. We're looking at the 7th minute mark, and the 2 scenarios that I want to show you is this French against Mongols, and this one is against HRE. So we're going to start with this one, and before we jump into it, I'm just going to describe you. I'm going to describe what the scenario is about. So we're looking at the scenario where I have a few Kharyshkyr, a few horsemen, but no Mangudai yet. And I did this on purpose because I know the opponent usually goes for Dark Age Spearmen and then they go into their special unit or other units. So this is something you can exploit to create some scenarios, and they also react to your unit composition. So you can kind of understand the AI in order to create some good scenarios. So what we have to do in this one, I'm trying not to restart it, so I'm just gonna try and play the first 5 minutes just to show you the idea of this. It's nothing too sophisticated. So unfortunately, Age of Empires 4 doesn't have the scenario editor like Age of Empires 2 does, which is a very complex scenario editor. And I remember I used to play around with the editor a lot when I was playing Age of Empires 2 as a kid. And I really had lots of fun with it. And I'm actually rediscovering this passion for creating scenarios, which are not favorable for you as a player. So first of all, let's just check our army. So this is our army, and what we have to do is we have to make an archery range in the first place. That's what we want to do. Besides, we're also looking to get our trade going, and we need to be careful not to die because of these spearmen. So let's look at this. Okay, we also put some villagers to work here. Let's charge into these guys. To also make sure we don't get our units killed. So we want to try not to get units killed. That's the idea here. And also you can try to work with different hotkeys, different control groups, many different things. Okay. Okay, so this kind of challenge that I made is more like to properly use micro techniques. So this is the idea with it. Okay. All right. Okay, let's get stuff going here. Okay, we also want to get trade. So the idea here is that I want to go to the Castle Age pretty soon. So you can definitely adapt your scenarios according to your own needs. This is the cool part about this. That you can create scenarios the way you want them, and you can save the game and reload it if you want to practice. This particular scenario is pretty good if you wanna become better at microing, and certainly it's something I could do. All right, let's see. Create more Kharyshkyr. Now I could actually drag my opponent back into his base, but the more we delay killing his villagers, the more difficult this game becomes. So now I could probably save the game and then reload it if I want to face another army, or I could just go and hit some villagers and weaken my opponent's economy. And this is also something we can do. We can try to stay in feudal and play it like this. Oh, we haven't gotten wheelbarrows. So you can make like a checklist of quests that you can do in order to play your scenario the way you want to play it. Definitely, you can experiment with different builds. You can experiment with micromanagement. So there's lots of interesting stuff that you can do. So, yeah, when I created this scenario, I realized there is quite a lot of potential in saving the game, reloading it, kind of forcing your opponent to go for certain units, and then trying to compete with that. We also want to get some trade going, and we want to hit our opponent. My idea here was always to try to get to the Castle Age before the 15th minute mark. I think this is possible or not. I'm not sure. We'll see. Now we're hitting our opponent here. So this means we're weakening his economy. He won't be able to create units that are too good. So this is how you change this is how you adapt your opponent's reaction to your playstyle. So yeah, now we're looking to expand our trade. We're still looking to get enough resources, trying to stop these town centers. But as you have seen, the most important thing is like the first 7 minutes. And so it depends how you prepare your game for this particular scenario. So as you can see, our opponent went for archers, probably as a reaction to Mangudai. He's making more town centers, but we're slowly nearing to the Castle Age. And this is our intention here. We want to get to the Castle Age really soon. So this would be like one of the scenarios that we can play. Alright, now we're totally obliterating our opponent, and yeah, if you wanted to keep the difficulty up, you could have just said, okay, I'm not gonna attack my opponent, I'm just gonna chill around my base a little bit longer, and afterwards I'm gonna attack him when he throws more more units. And we're now slowly aging up, and this is where I would pause this game. And so, as you can see, the initial 2 minutes were quite intense because we had to build an archery range. So we had like a pre-established quest list, how to say, or a checklist or to-do list, whatever you want to call it, that we have to consider. So building the archery range, creating 2 Mangudai, kiting around our opponent cavalry until we get the Mangudai to deal with the spearmen. And then we also have to build a tower. We also have to manage our trade route here. Also, this trade is like in a position where it's not so profitable, but it's safe. So you can expand on the safety of this trade by sending some villagers here and also conquering this gold mine. So there's lots of stuff you can do. You could have also decided to stay in the feudal age a little longer. You can also deal with wolves and see how you can manage your units around here. So there's like lots of stuff you can do. Also, let's look into this one. This is another scenario I created, and as you can see, I have first saved the game after 5 minutes because it looked pretty favorable. Like it looked like a scenario that I could use in order to improve my micro. And this is like the final save game that I can use to practice. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this game turns out. Not very sure. This time we're playing against AI Absurd. So like I said, the last two AIs are pretty good, but it also depends on your level. It depends on how good you are, how good your APM is. You can even use like the hardest AI if you're a bit slower in order to practice, and then you can go for a stronger AI and see how you can improve. And I think there's lots of potential and lots of possibilities for improvement. But let's see here. Ah, yeah, okay, I remember this one. This is also pretty messy here. Because we have to fend off this HRE, and it's pretty nasty. Besides, we don't have much going. We have some deer. We also always want to get some. We always want to get trade out, just because. Let's leave them a little bit. Also, you can work on garrisoning your villagers a little bit more effectively with these styles. So let's see. Let's wait a little longer. Let's not destroy our opponent's army. So also the map choice is pretty relevant because on this particular map you're pretty close to your opponent, which means that he's going to send units pretty fast. You can definitely work on. Oh, yeah. You can definitely work on your micro with this. All right, let's go. Let's see. And get a market out, like I said. Oh, this is dangerous. This is starting to get dangerous. So as you can see, you can still create some scenarios where it's not too easy. I mean, of course, you can easily beat the AI. Let's also make a trader. But if you give him a small advantage, then he's going to use this advantage to beat you. And he's also good at focusing the Mangudai with his archers. So they're not bad at countering. They're not bad at countering units. let's have a fight here. And then you can also test your feeling for what is a good fight and what is a bad fight. Because you might find out, okay, this amount of units is enough to deal with what they throw at you. Or you can say, okay, this is not a fight I would take in a ranked game. Definitely we need probably another production building. Damn it, I'd much rather go for stable. So yeah, as you can see, this is not a very easy. This is not an easy play here. But we can definitely do some micro around here. Deal with these archers. What I didn't do is I didn't build a blacksmith. So as you can see, the intensity and the speed of it is quite similar to a ranked game. So I wouldn't underestimate the AI. Of course, he's easy, but he can put you in some positions where you really have to fight. And that's really good. That's really good, because you can challenge yourself like this. So you don't always have to go ranked and play 1v1s or 2v2s in order to improve. You can also do this at home. What you got lying around at home. Let's also kill these villagers. So yeah, I think after you see where this game is going, you can just say, alright, so I see where I have difficulties. This is where I'm having difficulties. This is what I can do to improve. This kind of scenario would help me, or this kind of scenario would be too difficult for me. In this case, I would say, alright, my target is to prevent my opponent from building his landmark, H3 landmark, while going for trade at the same time. So this is one of these, one of my ideas that you could go for in order to win this one. Also, you can learn to create some distance between Mangudai and archers. Of course, archer counter Mangudai, but if you manage to bring your Mangudai out of reach, then it's not gonna be hard. Of course, I could have hit these villagers early, so I've played this scenario a few times, I have to say. So I know that he's gonna put his villagers on berries. We have to get to the next age here. Come on, send this. Go. There we go. Okay. So again, it's minute 15 and we're going to the castle age, which is really nice. And we can still continue playing, or we can say, alright, this is okay. By the way, you see the archers do the same thing that many like real opponents do. The archers will go forward, very close to the Kharyshkyr, and that's a very good opportunity to go for the archers like this. Pretty cool trick. Our Ubu is done. Alright, so yeah, talking and playing means I'm gonna lose this one. But this was not the point, yeah? So you can see, I'm floating on resources because I'm just talking and explaining. By the way, you should also move your market here, probably build another one if you want to optimize your trade and stuff like this. So you can play around, and test lots of interesting things. Which is really good about the AI. So the game kind of gives you some prefabricated scenarios, but they are silly, they're bad. But I think what the developers wanted to show is that you can actually create your own presets. Unfortunately, the game doesn't allow you to save your presets, and that's really silly. But you can save the game, which is a preset. So I'm showing you presets here, and I'm also gonna show you I'm also going to show you how I do this. So, like I said, we're gonna pick outrageous AI because I also want to talk while we play. And let's think of an opponent. I would say let's go for Ottomans as our adversary, because Ottomans will throw out spearmen in the Dark Age, and I want to try something different. So I want to try something different, and with this opportunity, I want to show you my Mangudai rush, how I skip the Horseman rush and go into the Mangudai rush. Like, I'm gonna do a clean Mangudai rush build and see what's gonna happen if the circumstance is right, because we have quite a good spawn here. Maybe you have seen me do this before. Not sure. Right, let's bring sheep in here. Right. So this TC placement looks pretty good, I would say. Maybe we could have put it a little bit more to the right to cover the uvu, but whatever. Okay, we want to have 2 more on this, and the next one will go to gold. And scout around and see what sheep we can find. So probably we're gonna get hit in the uvu, and if I would play against Ottomans in a ranked game, I would have made sure I had like 100 wood. We don't need this anymore because they're gonna bring the sheep back to the TC anyway. So yeah, all right, that's what they do. Yeah, nice. Okay. Okay, the villager just brought back the gold, and now we can just go for food and gold. So it's like 7-2. This is how you start, like the fastest, and this is, in my opinion, the fastest possible feudal age rush that you can do. And I have experimented with many things in the past, and you can believe me or not, but this is like the fastest way to get the Mangudai rush, a naked Mangudai rush, which is very, very risky because your uvu might be under attack by Ottoman spearmen. We're gonna age up with 5 guys here. So also another good thing about recording like this, like playing the game and saving it and then coming back to it later, is if you win or lose, you can always watch the replay and see what worked for you, didn't. So probably my Mangudai would have been a little bit faster had I sent the villager more quickly to gold. That's also fine. Let's start chopping on the trees because we are going to need wood for the archery range. Or it would have been best to scout the base, not the back of the base, but okay. I'm gonna have 3 on wood. I'm actually experimenting with this build. I'm not very sure when I would put the first villager onto wood, but I think this is a good rule of thumb. We don't want to have 4, we want to have 5 on food. Let's bring back our sheep. No food. Okay. So maybe it would have been better to be a little bit quicker with the gold. And this is something you can experiment too. So you can create your build, your own build orders. And I believe this is the best thing to do if you want to improve your game, is to experiment with your own build orders and not take my build orders or anyone else's build order for granted. And because build orders should be something flexible. Let's send these back here. Here and select 4 villagers for when we have the enough wood to build the archery range, which is gonna be now. So don't leave your villagers hanging around the uvu, which is idle time. We don't want that. We want to gather some food, and then we can go build the archery range. So now we have a scout looking at us. We're in the feudal age, which is very nice. Sending 2 more villagers onto the goal. Just looking for food. This is how it looks like. More too. 666. Alright. Need more Mangudai. It's quite a tight build, I have to say. Yeah, it's not the perfect build. It's not the perfect build here. It's just an experiment, guys. So the point of this video is a different one. As you might know. We're still not floating on resources. I think we're still fine. We're still fine here. So it's an approximate Mangudai rush, but also keep 7 on gold, not 6 if you're going for the Mangudai Kharyshkyr play. Also 6 on wood is better than 5. Let's get this upgrade because we might get horsemen later. And now we're probably forcing our opponent into archers. Khans hunters. As you can see, I'm not floating. I'm not above 100 resources, which is pretty good. Can also get this one if we want to go for a market. I'm actually just showing you a build order because I don't expect my opponent to do anything tricky here. So this is not a scenario which I would say. But if you like it and if you find that this build is good, you can just Mangudai versus Ottoman outpost or whatever. Mangudai, so like something that you can remember where you know, oh, okay, this is that save game, so I will have to do this, yeah. And if I don't like what units I chose, then I can just go for I can just load the game and replay it. So it's like nothing is engraved in stone, which means you can experiment with your build as much as you want, and you can create your own scenarios if you have the patience to do that. Let's go for this. And you can play around with different settings, with different ideas, with different outcomes, with different variations. So yeah, has lots of potential. Let's get this scout going. So yeah, yeah, we're 30 minutes in. We're 30 minutes in. By the way, as the last announcement, okay, like I said, they're going for archers. So I kind of predicted what my opponent was going for, which is pretty cool because this is how we adapt our scenarios, right? So we kind of predict what our opponent is going for. We predict what our opponent is going for, and then we create the scenario. So I could have just saved this game previously, knowing that this is what my opponent will create, and I could have just made a quest out of it to just, you know, try to not lose any Mangudai, you know. So I can just load it. Okay, let's load it. And just see where we left off. And I'm gonna finish this video in 2 minutes. So as a last announcement, I'm probably going to make more of these scenarios, but I'm not very sure if I can post them or upload them somewhere, because if you guys like these scenarios, if you find these scenarios to be useful, then I would gladly like to share them with you. So put them in a drive so you can access them and put them onto your computer and kind of play these scenarios that I have already created. If you're like probably too lazy to create your own, or if you're not interested in doing these little adaptations. For me, it's a little bit easier because I have the micro for that. But if it's complicated for you, then that's also okay. Let's make another Mangudai. Let's not make another Mangudai. We were going to go for Kharyshkyr. This was the idea. And yeah, as you can see, my build is not very well adapted because yeah, because like I'm low on food, and this is probably gonna help you understand what you're doing wrong in your economy, in your build order. And yeah, it's like a good predictor on what you're doing wrong and what you can adapt. Okay, in order not to lose Mangudai, we're gonna get Iron Undermash. And now probably our opponent is gonna go for more archers. This is gonna be his unit choice. And we're going to react accordingly. And micro this one. And now, for example, I could save this one. Yeah, and this is like pre-battle, just right before a fight, skirmish. And then in order to repeat the skirmish, we can save it and say, okay, don't lose Mangudai to Ottomans. If you lose them, then you have to restart until you do it right and beat your opponent in a very good way. Alright, so yeah, this is about it. Like I said, if you're interested in these kinds of games, in these kinds of scenarios, market makes no sense when you have it like this in the back, except if you put it here or here. Besides, it would have been clever to just send the scout here. Anyway, yeah, so like I said, if you're interested in these scenarios, let me know. Let me know in the comments below. I can make a few more, and I can definitely, they can definitely help you out, improve your strategy, to improve your gameplay. Okay, I have lost in Mangudai, I should restart. It's not a good fight that I'm taking here. I'm gonna close it off. So yeah, if you found this video to be useful, let me know. And yeah, see you around and good luck. Have fun with your games. See ya.